talking about the price floor and price ceiling, and also our product or the assignment that has been given. First thing first, we will be talking about the price floor. Price floor are minimum price set by the government for certain commodities and services that it's believed are being sold in an unfair market with too low of a price, and thus their producer deserves some assistance. The most common price floor is the minimum wage or the minimum price that can be paid for a labor. Next is the price ceiling. The price ceiling are maximum price set by the government for particular goods and services that they believe are being sold at too high of a price, and thus consumer needs some help purchasing them. Price ceiling has been found to be of great importance in the house and rental market. The product that our group have chosen is sugar. Sugar is a product that has a high demand in the market and in all population daily life, not only in our country, but it is all over the world. The pricing of sugar is changing every day. If the demands for sugar is high, the supply side is probably not expandable due to the small production-based sugar companies around.
And now I am talking about price rationing. Rationing refers to an artificial control on the distribution of scarce resources, food items, industrial production, and so more. In banking, credit rationing is a situation when banks limit the supply of loans to customers. In economics, rationing refers to an artificial control of the supply and demand of commodities. So, price rationing is referring to the controlling of price against sugar price. And here we show about the data of long term and short term. Wherever resources are particularly scarce, demand exceeds supply and price are driven up. The effect of such a price rise is to discourage demand and conserve resources. The greater the scarcity, the higher the price and the more the sources is rationed. This can be seen in the market of sugar. As sugar slowly runs out, its price will rise, and this discourages demands and leads the more sugar being conserved than a lower prices. The rationing function of a price rise is associated with a contraction of demand along the demand curve. Obviously, Malaysia had a negative consumption outlook in 2018. Supplies occurred during 2018 and caused the price of sugar decrease. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is DEVENDDRA and I am from ZHEN. Today I would like to explain the graph of price ceiling. Based on the diagram and the table above shows the market equilibrium price and the quantity of sugar. The equilibrium point of the market happens when the supply curves and intersect with the demand curve, which is point E. The equilibrium price and the quantity are RM1.50 and 20 million units respectively. When a price ceiling of RM1 is enforced, the producers reduce the quantity supplied from 20 million units to 10 million units, but the quantity demanded increased from 20 million units to 30 million units. This situation causes a shortage of 20 million units in the market as shown in the graph. The price ceiling is represented by the orange line in the graph. The purpose of government setting price ceiling is to make a denial for the general population who charge a high cost from their customers, and this protect and prevent it from any error. The government may designate the appropriate and require the cost of the item at the value that is under the equilibrium. Therefore, being an economic part, when the activity is considered by the government, it becomes mandatory for every business to use the price ceiling approach. A long-term impact of extreme interest in goods but short supply is the creation and continued growth of the underground market. In the black market, buyers wrongly buy limited merchandise at the cost of the price ceiling and closer to the cost of the market equilibrium. Thank you.
Hi, my name is SOMESWARAN VENUGOPAL. So today I will talk about the definition of the price ceiling. Price ceiling is a situation when the price change is more than or less than the equilibrium price determined by the market force of the demand of or the supply. The advantage of disadvantage of price ceiling. The price ceiling has some advantages for the marketplace. The price ceiling will help to avoid supplier from engaging in price gouging or charge the goods and services at the higher price. Price ceiling also gives an advantage that it will be maintain the cost of living during high level of inflation. Inflation shows that the style and trend of goods and services will increase over time and not fixed. During the high level of inflation, the price will increase more and rapidly compared to the income of consumers, which is the purchasing power, might be decreased. The price ceiling will maintain their standard of living in this modern world. This is a very sufficient advantage among the other advantages of the price ceiling. Price ceiling also has some disadvantages to the marketplace. Initially, suppliers not allowed to produce much of products if they cannot set their own prices for their products. So the supply of the main resources will decrease or decline and reduces the availability of resources in the marketplace. Decreasing the quality of products also one of the disadvantages of the price ceiling, because financially they will be very weak to reinvest for their business.
Hello everyone, now I will be talking about the graph of price floor. But first and foremost, I would like to show the graph of price floor right here. So let us say the equilibrium price of the price is at RM 1.5 and equilibrium quantity is at 20 million units, and the government set a price floor of RM 2. This will cause the quantity supplied, which is 30 million units, to be more than the quantity demand, which is 10 million units. Because higher price tend to make producer more active on producing sugar, with sugar price constantly at RM2, producer will not be afraid of demand going down. At the same time, this will cause demander to not be willing to buy more quantity at a higher price. A higher price will cause the producer to supply more. At this point, there will be excess supply, which is a surplus. A surplus will cause the market to not sustain. Therefore, government need to step in. They can do by buying off the surplus, or they can control or set limit on sugar production. They can pay parts of the cost for demander, which is called subsidizing consumption, or they can rigidly enforce the price floor and surplus will go to waste. Well, in the short run, consumer will have no choice but to buy sugar at the price because it is a necessity product, while producer will need to keep supplying sugar. In the long run, consumer will have time to find a substitute for sugar, and this will create more excess supply, which is surplus, which costs a lot of waste resource. That is all. Thank you.
I will talk about advantage and disadvantage of price floor. There are some benefits of price floor, but this benefit typically only benefit for a certain segment of the economy. For example, price floor are typically good for producer, because they set a minimum price at which their good can be sold, and this price is usually above the market price, which means the producers are able to sell the goods and services at a price which is above a normal price they would sell it for, and they can make extra profit as well. Let's take an example, a packet of sugar. If a packet of sugar costs Rm 1 ringgit and the government decide that the minimum price should be 2 ringgit and 50 cents, this means that now the producer will sell each package of sugar for an extra 1 ringgit and 50 cents, which is great for the profit also. So the supply will want to produce more the consumer demand. At the same time, the price floor has a negative effect too. There are 3 negative effects of the price floor, which is consumer, producer, and the general economy. Over the short term, producers benefit as they are able to sell their goods at a higher price. However, this is the risk that because prices are high and the produce product too much of the good while the consumer cannot afford them. This lead to a surplus and potential loss down the road of producer as they were not able to tell what have produced. Besides that, it will be affected by the consumer too. The consumer is typically worse off as they have to pay more money for the goods and services. And for last but not least, the price floor disadvantage will lead to general economy. In general, the economy lost out because there is not an efficient allocation of production. And this is being so, the government may also be less able to collect tax on production and sale of the product.
Next, I will talk about elasticity. Sugar is a necessity, which means it has an inelastic demand. Sugar has very little substitutes, which makes it more inelastic in the short run. However, in the long run, sugar will become more elastic because replacement for sugar will most likely to appear in the market. If the sugar is set on a high price, consumer will want to change to substitute with lower prices, which is why the sugar will become more elastic in the long run. In conclusion, based on our research on sugar, we can say that price floors and ceilings on a certain product, which is in our case is sugar, can definitely affect its price rationing and resource allocation. By using price floors and ceilings, we can restrict its prices from going up and down towards equilibrium so that it matches to our objectives. That is all. Thank you.